It was really a great decision. I am like so happy I jumped in because so it was literally the best decision I ever made.
All right, so this is a very special interview for me because I remember when me and you, Christa, were talking, and it was a couple months ago. You were on the fence. You're like, "Well, I'm very interested in permanent jewelry, but I'm a little bit nervous and scared." And I remember in my militaristic fashion, because I'm an Air Force pilot, I was like, just do it, just jump in, stop being scared. And then here we are. So overall, like flashback to then, and now think to today, was it a good decision?
It was really a great decision. I am like so happy I jumped in because I think I would have a lot more regrets if I didn't do this. Yeah, you pretty much convinced me this is what you should do. Stop thinking because you pegged me as an overthinker, which is exactly what I am. And I'm sure I'm not the only one in the world who overthinks
Right.
all of this, jumping in, spending the money. Yeah, it's money that you have to spend, but I had to look at it in a different way because I've worked for someone my entire life and wanted to start a business of my own. So it was literally the best decision I ever made.
That's awesome. And so this is your first business, correct?
Yes, yeah. I do browse as well. So I needed a supplement for that because I'm just beginning. And I do have a local studio that I opened in October. And so I'll honestly, having trouble paying the bills just with browse
Mhm.
and was like, I need something to offset that. And this was the best move that I could make so that I could, pay my bills as I was going.
Yeah, when you say brows, are you talking about like permanent makeup and microblading?
Yeah, so permanent makeup, so microblading and powder brows as well, and I'm still in training for powder brows. So yeah, I have both of
Okay.
those under my belt.
Yeah, I know in my marketing agency, I've worked with a lot of permanent makeup artists over the years, and it right now it's a little bit tougher to get started. I mean, brows is still a great service, but I feel like there's more objections for that service and more fears than like permanent jewelry. And so I think you made the right move, adding permanent jewelry as a service. That way you can entice people to come
Definitely.
in.
Yeah, definitely. I have more people. I had a wait list, when I was waiting for my machine, which was so exciting. I did it right around the holidays, so I had to wait a little bit longer. But, I was like, I put it out there. This is what I'm going to be doing. And, I probably had a good 15, 16 people waiting and who were excited for me to, get started. And so once I got my machine, I had all my ducks in a row, pretty old school, but I was just like, I know all these things that I need. I had watched the course, and I was like so excited. Like it was just like I'd come home from work, and every night it was just like I was giving it everything I could. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, we were talking before we started recording. You said you have a lot of events coming up. Is that correct?
yes, yeah, I'm so excited. I'm doing a local Galentine's in February, so a big event in our local town. There's only three other businesses, so I said I wanted to be part of that. So I hope it's just going to be for walk-ins. So I have that coming up. I also have a bridal show in our local town coming up. I have a pop-up coming up in February as well. So my February is pretty booked right now, which is in a local town about 30 miles from me. And they actually contacted me and said, "Hey, I saw that you advertise that you do permanent jewelry and we want to have you here." So that was exciting. I also have
Yeah.
some other clients booked coming up in February too.
So I know
Thanks.
you're still like new in the business. It's only been a couple months, but looking back, is there anything you wish you had known then that you know now?
I mean, basically, just like don't be afraid of what could be because you don't know until you try. And I think that's huge to just say, I'm just gonna jump in with both feet. And people make bad decisions in their life, but I just don't think that this would ever be one of them, especially if you're a hairdresser, permanent makeup, just anything small that you need to bring in extra clientele. Like it doesn't take long, and people are like all over it because it's definitely the upcoming thing that everybody wants to do.
Oh yeah, for sure. So as far as the training goes, what kind of feedback do you have for us?
I thought the training was great. It's a little hard when you don't have your machine to kind of, understand maybe what things mean, but
Mhm.
it makes sense if you watch it once and then you get your machine, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I got this. So I think that was beneficial that, right away when you sign up, you give us, the Facebook group, and it can be a little overwhelming, but in a way it's good because then you have time to think through these things. And I took notes. I was writing everything down, like, okay, this is what, how I should set up my machine. This is the course part of the manual that I want to go back and look at once I do have my machine. So I think that was really beneficial.
Awesome. And have you already started taking some clients for permanent jewelry?
Yes, yep. I've had multiple, I've had mom and daughters come in, I've had friends come in. I did a few friends, like just kind of to start, my daughter. So yes, I've taken about 12 clients so far. So I haven't had a lot, but in all honesty, like the jump rings that come in the kit are amazing because I just sat down and probably after about 10 jump rings, I was like, I got it. So it
Nice.
wasn't like hard to learn. But it takes some concentration, and you just have to just go with the flow and go with it. And that's what I did.
Yeah. And you're in Iowa, right?
I'm in Iowa. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned like going like 30 miles away, like for an event in February. So that's one of the things I love about permanent jewelry is like your machine is very portable. Like you can just take everything to any city you want.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I have other local towns as well that I'm going to contact every day. I have a to-do list, like I want to get all of these things done, and that just makes you more organized. Printed out things that actually come in the manual as well. Advice, all of your posts regarding like Instagram, different things that you can post, like those have all been very helpful for me, and the pictures that you give, just to get yourself started. That way you feel like you're posting things that are true. Maybe you didn't take the picture, but you've got these things to share with people that get people excited. So I'm going to reach out to, multiple areas, within probably 30 minutes to an hour from me as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah, I talked to someone yesterday and she was actually driving like 8 hours somewhere. And so that's kind of crazy, but
Yeah, do what you got to do, right?
yeah.
If you want to make the money, just go for it.
Yep. So right now, do you have another full-time job or is browse like your main thing?
No, I work a full-time job. I'm an x-ray tech,
Okay.
and I've been an x-ray tech for 25, 30 years of my life. So I just decided, I just wanted a new start. Healthcare's kind of been a wild, crazy world to be in. So I just decided, this was something that I could do, and I wanted to be in a small town and
Mhm.
work because I work 30 miles from my home, and I've traveled for so long. So I found a small building, 300 square feet, which is ultimately perfect. I've had so many people walk in and say, "Oh my gosh, this is perfect for your jewelry."
Yeah.
I have everything set up so beautifully, and it's worked out very well for me.
That's awesome. So do you have any permanent jewelry yourself yet?
Unfortunately, I do not because I can't get it on myself.
Yeah.
So that is one of the things that I do need to try to figure out, if I can have somebody try to help me, because I want like every bracelet that I have. I could probably put an anklet on, but not the season in Iowa to have
Right.
an anklet.
Yeah.
So just like kind of holding out. So if anybody local in Iowa wants to come hook me up, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm sure there's someone on the Facebook group. I know you mentioned the Facebook group earlier. What's your experience with that?
Oh my gosh, like it has been a godsend, and everybody is so nice. Like I will literally, like, if you just want to follow something, you follow it. And I've learned so much just daily. Like it's literally my number one Facebook group. Like
Yeah.
I always, every day I'm like, I have to go to the link site, I have to go to the link site, because it's just like, and it just makes me so happy because everyone is so cordial and kind. And I mean, I've met numerous people who have helped me. And I have a 24 by 36 sign coming from Amazon that I'm so excited about, that one of the girls on there helped me with and designed for me. And there's just so many kind people, and it's really a priceless place to be, really, on a daily basis for us. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I tell everyone who's like potential students when they ask me about the course and stuff. And I'm like, you know what, the course is good or great, but the Facebook group is like a whole secondary education that gets updated daily.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, every day there's a new post and a new question, a new answer to something. So, yeah,
Right.
I would be really lost without that, actually.
So how many times did you, go through the training and stuff before you were like really comfortable? Because I know you mentioned you overthink things sometimes, and I know you're very meticulous. And so how many
Yes.
times did you go through the course?
I think probably just twice. I went
That's
through
not bad.
twice. Not yeah, yeah, not bad. I mean, like I might have went through a few of the like the close-up videos when, Sarah would be welding, just to, get a better visual of that once I got my machine. But, I feel like there was so many good details and I'm a good note taker. So I pretty much like if I had a question, I would write it down and I had a note there like, okay, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And that really, helped me by taking notes the first time through the course. But I,
Hmm.
I think twice through, and I was like, yeah, I got this. And I downloaded and literally printed the whole manual myself. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
have,
remember when you were like, Jake, is the manual printed? I was like, well, it can be.
yeah, I pretty much like just print it all and put it in a binder. And yeah, so, and I have lots of things that I've organized and, as far as the, keeping track of your supplies and everything that the papers all come in there, so those have all come in handy to download and print, so you can keep track of your stock and such.
Mhm.
So I like all of that part of it.
Right. So everyone's always asking about pricing. What did you decide to do? Are you pricing per inch, per bracelet, or some kind of mixture?
Yeah, great question. So, first when I started, I did per inch. And I was like, yeah, this is fine. And I, get my tape measure out and measure everybody. And I was like, gosh, this is just a little bit more work than I feel like I want to do on every single client.
Hmm.
So I revamped everything and I went with like per chain. And I tried to kind of group them into tiers basically that, if they were $12 or $8 an inch or $12 an inch, then I grouped, sterling silver and then gold filled into certain ones. So, I have about 19 chains right now. I've sold out of one that came in my kit already,
Hmm.
and I feel like, I haven't sold any of the 14 karat yet. I would love to, but I feel like the sterling silver and the gold filled are definitely the most popular to
Hmm.
have. You don't need like a huge variety to start because I think I had, my 5 choices of chains when I first began, and everyone was fine with that, and they were fine with, paying by the inch. But in the end, I just feel like it's maybe just less confusion for you starting just to pay, per bracelet, anklet, and per chain. So I went with that.
Yeah, I was just curious because I know a lot of students have, these intricate systems of how they price and everything. And I'm of the school of thought, try to keep things as simple as possible. And that way you can scale it bigger.
Right, right. And no one's really complained about my prices. The last, I had 5 people last Saturday, and it was the mother and daughter, and the mom got like two chains. The one daughter got 2 bracelets, I should say, 2 bracelets, and then the mother got like 3 birthstone charms. And that was my first time that I had like there was like 6 welds on that bracelet, and it was like, oh gosh, you've got this, you can do this. And they're like, you did really good. And you never know that you kind of just started this. And I was like, well, thanks. Because I mean, I felt like, it went really smoothly. And, I don't get nervous about doing it. It's just once you're in it, it's not like a job. That's what I think
Right.
I love about it. It's like, this is fun and you're making people happy and they
Yep.
were excited about the change and nobody questioned, the prices when I went. I think my cheapest, I shouldn't say cheapest because they're not really cheap, but is like $75. And that would be based on the like $8 per inch. Because I based everything off at like 7.5 inches for a wrist size. And then I'm doing like 20% off for children 12 and under, considering they're not going to have a 7.5 inch wrist. So,
Right. Awesome. It's funny you mentioned children, because like a lot of people think that, I guess a lot of people assume that it would be for like, people 18 to 60 plus, but I've seen so many posts on the Facebook group where people are like, hey, I gave my daughter this bracelet or, you name it. So, I mean, are they loving it?
I mean, I haven't had any personal experience with children yet, but I just felt like, as a parent coming in, parent myself, I would just be like, oh, my child has a small wrist. Like, I don't want to pay the
Right.
same amount. So, I mean, I hope that I do, have some experience with children who do want them. So,
Awesome. Well, anything that you would want to tell someone that's watching right now, and maybe they're on the fence, they're like, well, there's cheaper trainings out there, or I want to just, try to learn on my own. Like, what would you tell them?
I would definitely say, just reach out to you, Jake and Sarah, because I just feel like it's you're not gonna look back and regret it for sure. I feel like it's the material that you have in there, the training, the responses. You are both involved in the Facebook page. You're just a Facebook message away if you really need something, if you have a question. I would say, just go for it and just know that you will have your return. It might not be as quick as somebody else, but if you put your heart and soul into it, it will happen for you. I mean, yes, you have to work for it. You can't just say, oh, I'm gonna, just not practice and not
Hmm.
be prepared, because there is a lot of preparations and a lot of things that you have to purchase and plan up and above what you have in the course. There's things that you need, but it's doable and anybody can do it. I mean, if I can do it at my age, anybody can do it.
Well, I really appreciate you, coming on here and sharing your experience. And like I said, I remember back when we were first talking, and you know, I don't know, as a I'm not going to call myself a salesperson, but as someone who like quote sold you, like I always like to go back and like make sure it was a good decision for you and you have a great experience and stuff. I'm not the kind of person that just wants to like, sell somebody and move on. Like I truly care about our students.
Yeah, and I definitely like felt that in our initial conversation, because I had a friend who had, purchased through Link as well, and she was the one who referred me to you guys, and I just, I had a lot of hesitations, and I think I just needed somebody to be honest and blunt with me,
Mhm.
and that's, what you did. I mean, like I'm a pretty soft-hearted person, so sometimes that's hard to hear, but in the end, it's like, when you don't know somebody and you can peg somebody like,
Mhm.
hey, you just have to like not have fear, because fear doesn't really get you anywhere in life. And I think I've learned that from this experience. Like if I feared learning browse or learning something new, you don't ever do anything. And what kind of life is that if you're like, I look back, but I didn't try anything new because I was scared. And
Right.
so you kind of grow past that fear, I guess, when you do
Mhm.
new things. So it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, and what I've found is like the more fearful we are of something, besides like the obvious, like a tiger or something, the more fearful we are of certain like business decisions and everything, it usually means the more impactful it's going to be in our life.
Right, because you have to work harder for it, I feel like.
Hmm.
You can go to a 9 to 5 job and, you know, make your hourly wage, but in the end of the day, I feel like, I mean, I have a rewarding job now, but when you've done it yourself and see it built from the bottom up, it's just, there's nothing more rewarding than that. Knowing, what I worked my butt off every single night after I worked a 10-hour day at work, and then one day I say to myself, I'm not going to have to do that forever.
Right.
One day, I'll be able to look back and be like, you did all that, and, look how successful you are at it. So, I mean, I feel like this is hopefully just the beginning for me.
I guess you don't have to answer this if you don't want, but do you ever plan on transition to permanent jewelry full time?
Oh, versus like my x-ray job.
Right.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
that is ultimately my goal, is that I want to be able to do brows and permanent jewelry full time. That's the ultimate goal. And, so I mean, I'm going to be 50 this year, and I think that's the hardest thing, is knowing like retirement's closer than I think.
mhm.
And I want to be able to retire sooner than later. So I'm hoping that, if I can make this business grow, and in my head, I have this plan that I will hopefully, within my goal is a year, to hopefully quit my job and
Right.
then be doing this full time. So that's my dream. That's my dream.
Awesome. Well, whenever your dream comes true, and maybe it'll be sooner than a year,
I hope.
we're definitely gonna have to do like another video call and share that with everyone.
For sure, I would love that.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much for sharing your experience, and you've been awesome to watch grow, and I know that it's only going to get better from here.
I appreciate it, Jake. Thank you so much for everything that you've done for everyone in the Lyft community. We really, really appreciate you.
Well, thanks. My pleasure.
All right. Thanks, Jake.
Thank you.